All right, we're going to talk about how I bought my first boat when I was 12 years old and how that actually changed my life and the way I look at things. And along the way, we're going to talk a little bit more about why boating is important to me, how it's inspiring, and how it actually makes me work hard. Boating has been a huge part of my life. I took my first boating trip with my best friend and his family when I was in kindergarten. My parents let me go on this trip from Marina del Rey to Two Harbors, Catalina, that little harbor right there, on a boating trip. And that boating trip was instrumental in my passion for the water, for the ocean, and just spending time in the water and enjoying every bit of it. On this trip, my best friend Colin, when I was literally in kindergarten. His family was a member of LA Yacht Club. They were doing a weekend trip to Catalina, and I somehow convinced my mom when I was 4 or 5 years old to go on this trip. And like I said, we went to Catalina, had an incredible time, and it really just instilled this love for the water. And then as I was in elementary school, my parents bought a little 26-foot Chris Craft. It was their boat, and honestly, we had a lot of engine problems with that boat, but just had so much fun cruising around the harbor, eating lunch on it on the weekends, and just having a good old time. You know, when I was 12 years old, I actually went and I bought my first boat. I bought two 14-foot Hobies, and you might be asking yourself, Mark, how the hell did you buy a freaking boat when you were 12 years old? I'm gonna tell you right here. Funny story, but I was really good friends with the head janitor at my middle school. My buddy Matt and I, Matt Osepian, we were really close with the janitor and some of the administration. And one summer, the administration was redoing all the lockers at the middle school, and they hired a contractor from back east to do all the paint, all the new hardware and everything. And obviously, he needed some laborers and some work to help out. We ended up getting in touch with him, and he was able to hire us to do some work. Through that summer, I saved up a couple $100. Pretty sure I was working for under minimum wage. It was some type of work program, but it was a best time of my life. It's actually funny, my best friend Colin actually came out that summer to visit the one that I went on that boat trip coincidentally with when I was in kindergarten. He moved back east, and he actually worked with us, and we had a great group of friends that were working with the contractor for a few weeks that summer, cleaning, painting, putting on new hardware, getting things put up. And I used that money to buy two Hobie Cats. And if you don't know what a Hobie Cat is, it's a catamaran that's built to go really, really fast. And we actually, my dad and I found these Hobie Cats on Craigslist for like 400 something bucks. I think it might've been actually a little bit more money, but we negotiated down. And I'll never forget this, getting those Hobie Cats, putting them in the driveway. And the first day we went out on the water, when we bought them, the guy that we bought the boats from was actually a national champion Hobie Cat racer. And he took me out down in Cabrillo, San Pedro, which is literally the death wind trap of the United States. It is windier here than anywhere else on the West Coast. Kiteboarders come from, and kite surfers come from all over the world to come here. It is windy as hell. And on this day, we took the boat out and we started whipping around. And obviously, I'm with a national champion here. This guy, one national champion, grew up on the lakes in the Midwest and had this boat in San Diego for a few years, and had just gotten older with kids now. I didn't have time to use them. So he was selling them. He wanted them to go to someone like me that wanted to learn and get into it. And we're whipping around, and all of a sudden, we've got this catamaran up in the air, just all out of the water, shooting down over 15 knots. And then out of the blue, we just rip the rigging, and the whole mast and the sail comes flying down in the middle of the harbor. And I can't even believe what happened. I mean, I'm just like shocked what happened. But you know, at that point, I was hooked. I was just so excited, and we waved down a couple of guys in a little cabin cruiser that towed us back into the beach, and I was freaking hooked beyond belief. And I would spend my summers fixing the trailer. Pretty much took all the parts from both of these catamarans to make one work. And then a couple years later, like, you know, just didn't have time for it anymore and ended up selling them. That really set the foundation for me wanting more and to really just love the ocean and take advantage of it and to be able to enjoy it. And when I was in college, I just thought of the memories that I had when growing up, like going to Catalina and spending time on the water. And I was like, man, one day I'm gonna get a bigger boat and I'm gonna be that type of guy that's on the water on the weekends and can jet out to Catalina and just enjoy it. Lo and behold, when my best friend Doug moved back from school and I was back here after college, one day Doug called me up and he's like, hey, you want to buy a sailboat this weekend? And I said, hell yes, let's do it. And I think that was 2011 that we bought Sophie's Tale, which was a 1979 27-foot Catalina. And this thing was cherry straight. Actually, it wasn't a 79, it was a 77. It was cherry beyond belief. We bought it from this gay couple out of Long Beach and they kept this thing in immaculate condition. I couldn't believe how cheap we got this for. We got this boat for $3,000 and we enjoyed this boat like you couldn't ever imagine. We had so much fun on this boat. It was incredible. Right after we bought that boat, we're like, we need a dinghy for this thing. We need something to jet around. And this is really my third boat and the second boat I bought with Doug. We bought this thing in the middle of the night. It was a 14-foot rigid inflatable that was completely trashed. We bought it from this guy that was living off of his boat off of Dana Point, and we met with him in the middle of the night. Dana Point Harbor. The harbor was closed. It was on the harbor launch ramp. It had some damage. Apparently it had been stolen. This guy's living off of his boat, and we spent the whole night hanging out with him at a Denny's until the harbor master opened the dock in the morning and we could grab it. And when we got this thing, I was like, this was a huge mistake. I think we bought that thing for like $150, $200, and we ended up flipping it and selling it to someone on Craigslist for like $500, $600. That was my third boat right there. Then the fourth boat we bought after a year of owning the Catalina, we were like, you know what? This is a great boat. We brought it from Wilmington to King Harbor and Redondo. We're like, you know what? We need something a little big. We're having fun with this, but we're outgrowing it. And lo and behold, there was this 37-foot 1979 O'Day center cockpit sloop that was for sale a couple docks up from us on one of the bigger docks. And we went and visited this thing and we were freaking sold. This is exactly what we're looking for. 2 cabin layout. We each have our own cabin. We can bring a date for the weekend, go to the island, have some more space. This is going to be a blast. And we went and we bought that boat and then sold our Catalina, and we ended up doing great on it. Like, we ended up selling that thing for like $6-7 grand cash. Plus, the guy traded us a motorcycle. We did some seller financing on it. It was a great deal. We ended up selling that for the comp after we sold the motorcycle for like 11, 12 grand, something like that. That O'Day was our second big boat. And after getting that thing, we're like, you know what? The dinghy that we bought before never worked out. We're gonna need something that we can jet around the island on. And we found this cool little 13-foot Boston whaler that we just had the time of our lives on. We jetted around the harbor, went diving and fishing off that thing, enjoyed the hell out of that for a while we owned the O'Day. And then out of the blue, there was a 1971 39 Erickson that went for sale right across the dock from us. Like, this boat we're on one side of the dock, it's right on the other. Our buddy Travis was planning to rebuild this boat and was rebuilding it over years and sail it around the world, and life timing changed and he wasn't using it anymore. Put a brand new motor in it, brand new sails, and this thing had this really sick flush deck. It was super fast, had this cool tower on the back. We ended up buying that, and then we sold the O'Day. That was our next big boat, was the 39 Erickson, and we enjoyed that for years. Man, we had so much fun on that boat. We had one weekend where we went to Avalon in Catalina for a regular weekend, like in spring, and we brought like probably 20-25 friends, and between our boat and my buddy Thad's Bertram Sport Fisher, we just had people crashing on every corner of this boat and had so much fun. At the same time, next little boat, we bought another 14-foot center console rigid inflatable, and we bought this thing in Long Beach. Just had the time of our lives on this thing as well. We ended up selling that other whaler and had that center console up until a few years ago. The Erickson we just ripped up, had so much fun, multiple Catalina trips, redid the whole interior on this, new countertops, all new cushions, varnished the whole thing, just made it cherry and beautiful. And that was C'est La Vie. So that boat was C'est La Vie. The 79 Erickson was called, that was Paradise. C'est La Vie, man, we just had time of our life on that thing. And the reason I'm telling you these stories is, for me personally, there's something that you've got to want and that you got to want to do. And obviously money and things are not everything in life, but I can tell you, when you have an obscure hobby that costs a lot of money, it makes you work way harder because you always want more. Finishing this story is, as we've gone on further, we had that 39 Erickson, and we ended up saying, you know what, we want a little newer boat, something a little bit more modern. This thing was in its 70s. We found this, I think it was like a 2002. This thing needed a little work. It was left, you know, unattended to a little while, but we got a good deal on it. We enjoyed that thing, and after a year, we had some motor problems. We actually ended up having to repower that motor on that boat, and we didn't use it that much. That motor almost broke me. Repowering that boat took forever. It was such a pain. So many problems, but we ended up repowering it, getting it sold. And then at the same time, actually before we sold that boat, we bought the boat that we've got today, which is a 52 Jeanneau Sunfast, which is honestly the best boat I've ever owned. This Jeanneau is bulletproof. We bought it from an executive of a yacht company in France who sailed it from France through the Caribbean, through the Panama Canal, up the coast of Mexico to Hawaii, up to Alaska, and back down the whole coast of the West Coast to LA. Once he got to LA, his wife told me he had to come back home. I think it was like over the course of a little more than a year and a half. So we bought that boat, and we've enjoyed that boat for about 8 years now. I mean, it's been an incredible boat. So much fun. Just had incredible memories. It's got 4 cabins on it, 2 heads, and we've done a lot of work. We repowered the motor, put a brand new 85 horse Yanmar turbo diesel in there, new sails, new cushions. We've done a lot. We put a lot of money and time into this thing, but we've had a hell of a time with it. And that's the boat we currently have for sale. And the reason we're selling that is because we bought a 72-foot Grand Banks that we're currently doing like a massive refit, head to toe, engine rebuilds, new paint, new props, new electronics, everything new on this thing. And we're gonna be shipping that to the West Coast to turn into a luxury yacht charter. And it's something that I'm super passionate about. And I've wanted to run a charter business my whole life. Not doing it as my full thing, obviously still running Bread Loaf, still doing what I'm doing, but just a little side hustle business that I'm investing some time and energy into. And the great thing is we'll be able to own this beautiful boat without, you know, having it come out of our hard earned pre-tax income. Run it as a charter business is gonna be great. But the reason I'm making this video and the reason I want to tell you my story with boating is hopefully it will inspire you to want to do something, to find a passion and to find something that you want to do. For me, unfortunately, it's the water. Fortunately or unfortunately, and boats are really expensive, but for me, it's totally worth it. Every single dollar, even if I'm not using it every weekend. Knowing that I got the boat there, working on the boat, getting things fixed up, getting it cleaned, it gives me so much joy, even when I'm not out there behind the wheel using it. So, like I said, find your obscure hobby. Find something that you're passionate about. It's going to make you work harder. And also too, these obscure hobbies, racing cars or boats, whatever it is, like it'll put you on a higher caliber of person. You're the sum of the 7 people you hang out with. Since I started boating, I joined a yacht club. Now I get access to every yacht club in the world. I've been a member at King Harbor Yacht Club for like 8-9 years now. I live down here in Newport. If I want to go to the Newport Yacht Club for dinner, no worries. Show my membership card, get into that club. I go and I race at other clubs. It's opened the doors to sailing racing. Like I've raced in almost every big regatta in Southern California. I've been invited to sail down to Mexico in the Baja. Like you just get invited and you're around a different caliber of person that you're not gonna meet in other places. This has been my journey, what I do, and I hope it inspires you to do the same as well. So hope you enjoyed this episode and I'll talk to you later. See ya.